I was looking at some of the national papers today, and I was surprised to see that several of them were not just tabloids, quality newspapers as well, were leading with images of the American journalist James Foley and that very grisly footage of him in the desert with the jihadists behind him from IS. This has been a major story because of all of the Islamic State's atrocities. This is one of the most glaring. It's not the worst, but it's one of them that has stuck out. And one of the most shocking aspects of it is the person who killed him was British. Analysts suggest that some of the worst and most sadistic of the IS fighters are Europeans, British, Norwegian, Danish. As a Briton, I feel almost a sense of guilt that someone who shares my nationality could have done this. I'm not disputing it, but I do think there is a sort of sense of both shock and guilt in this country. There have been a few American jihadists, but not as many. The Prime Minister's ordered an absolute crackdown on anyone glorifying the Islamic State, whether that be sending out material or even watching the video. I'm not sure about that because I'm not sure about treating that as a counter-terrorism thing. Not that I think people should watch the video. Personally, I have no interest in seeing it. Although, having said that, I don't think watching the video serves any particular purpose. I mean, if you need to see it to tell yourself how barbaric this is, then you don't have a very good imagination. I don't think there's any need to watch that video. It's right that it's been taken down. There's been a debate in social media about whether or not to show the images of this, but that photograph is bad enough. I mean, James Foley he's sitting there, his eyes are closed, gritting his teeth. He knows what's going to happen. Head shaved. It's difficult to comprehend how someone could be so brainwashed that they can do that to another human being without thinking, without caring. And this isn't two soldiers in a battlefield. This is just pure sadism. An unarmed defenceless journalist, albeit a very, very brave man. James Foley had been kidnapped before, it's my understanding, in Libya, but he still chose to go back. He still chose to go back because he wanted to show people what was happening in Syria and Iraq. So that showed not only his courage but also his humanity. I cannot comprehend what he must have went through in the final months of his life. Young man, very brave man, and it just reminds me of the risks that frontline reporters take and how we must always respect the risks that they take. Like everyone, I felt sickened by it, but I really do think that we need to crack down very hard. It's no good just saying it's bad, but you know, anyone sending out pro-IS leaflets, I've seen this in London, waving an IS flag, they should be arrested for treason. I really believe that. In terms of negotiating with IS, I don't think you can. I believe that a military response here is the only way. I believe unless they're liquidated, unless they're killed, they're going to kill more people. Someone who is that brainwashed with their own bullshit, with their own jihad, cannot be negotiated with. I saw a disturbing video where Yazidi men were forced to convert to Islam, in which case they would be saved. And it is the profound arrogance of these people that they think they have moral high ground. You see, they're not only sadistic, they're actually rather stupid. And I think they need to be told that they are stupid, because they believe that they have superior intelligence. They believe that their barbarism is justified. There is programs in the UK to try and de-radicalise young Muslims or Muslim converts who might be thinking about taking up this route. A lot of mosques have programs to try and de-radicalise them. There are leading imams in this country trying their best to turn these young people away from this route. But just a word, by the way, when I'm talking about liquidating these people and so on, that might sound sadistic on my part, but I firmly believe that there is no other way. Unlike them, I take no I take no relish from that. But when you have people who are this brainwashed and this dangerous, unfortunately it is the only way. They're not interested in negotiations. And they're terrorizing men, women and children by the thousands. Yazidis, Christians, Sufis, you name it. And incidentally, I suspect they're going to start targeting even Sunnis who don't subscribe to their insanity. So I do support the US airstrikes, and I think these people need to be hit hard. As far as I'm concerned, if they go off there to get involved in jihad, they should be automatically regarded as traitors without question, and if they step foot in this island ever again, they should be jailed for the rest of their days. Because there's a situation now where the security services are reporting that there may have been people who have actually been out in Iraq and Syria. Some of them may have been disillusioned and come back, in which case I think they should still be charged. But in some cases they have come back with an agenda of waging violent jihad on these shores. Now, there are people who say, oh, the threat's exaggerated, it's the government scaremongering. I would say, wake up. The government doesn't need to say anything, because IS does it so well themselves. There is a very real threat here, and it's actually more dangerous than the sort of conventional warfare where you would have two pitched armies, such as in the two world wars. In some ways this is a lot more dangerous. I'm not necessarily talking about mortality rates, but I'm talking about taking on somebody who is not afraid of death, who believes that their death will be glorious, and who's prepared to kill and butcher thousands of innocents in their way. So this is going to be a very long struggle. And analysts seem to suggest that this is something that is what IS is becoming is even more dangerous than Al-Qaeda. I'm sorry for the very dark aspect of this video, but I just think that we need to look at reality here. The reality is that there's only several ways forward. One of them is to push to de-radicalize these young people when they are at that impressionable age. But when they get to the point of going out there, then there's no point. There's absolutely no going back, and at that point I've got zero sympathy for them. And unfortunately I think killing them is the only way. This is one of those situations where I think pacifism, with all its good intentions, just doesn't see reality. Because if they have got to the point of going out to a place like Iraq or Syria, they cannot be turned back. I believe that, and I think now clearly they have responded to the American airstrikes, so clearly that has got to them, which to me suggests that the American airstrikes should intensify, and they should be blown off the face of the earth, these anti-human fascists. Because you cannot negotiate with an organisation and an ideology like this. One more thing. If by any chance you are a young Muslim, you're watching this video, maybe you think I'm an ignorant infidel, maybe you want to throw back Western policies at me. The issue here is not about being opposed to Western policy. You can be opposed to Western policy. For the record, many non-Muslims are. But I'm going to say this directly to you. If you are thinking about going out there, think very, very, very carefully about what you're going to do. Think about whatever you've been told by those websites, by the pamphlets, whatever. You've been told that people like me are infidels, crusaders, we're full of shit. Mark my words, if you go out there, you'll destroy your own life. You'll either be killed in an American airstrike, or you'll end up blowing yourself up. You'll think you'll end up in paradise. But how do you end up in paradise? By killing innocent people. By killing defenseless men, women and children. If you in any way are thinking about this, I would tell you now, please don't. I don't give a shit about people who are already out there, who clearly I'm not going to get through to them. But if in any way you have doubt about what you think you're going to do, if in any way, I would say please just don't. I would go deeper than just saying it's treason against your country. Clearly you don't care about that. Okay, I would say this. Think of your fellow human beings. Did James Foley not bleed the same colour blood as you do? Get a knife and cut your finger, see what colour it is. And then look at the colour of the Yazidi, Christian, Ahmadi blood that you spill. Don't do it. If you go out there, you will either end up killed in an American airstrike, killing yourself, or killed by Kurdish fighters or other combatants on the ground. Don't do it. Just don't. You could do any number of things with your life. If you're opposed to foreign policy, get involved in politics. Get yourself elected. Then you'll be in a position to influence policy. Do not do this.